Hello dear students, can you see this beautiful picture? What is this picture about? It is about nature, isn't it? So what is nature? Nature is the natural, physical, material world, or you can say nature is universe. It also refers to geology and wildlife. Now why are we talking about nature? Because today we are going to start the new poem based on nature, which is written by Emily Dickinson. Now, Emily Dickinson was born in a religious, well-to-do Puritan family in 1830. She became one of the greatest writers. She led a life of recluse. Now, due to her Puritan upbringing and her recluse life, she was able to create beautiful poetry. She was nature lover. Her keen observation along with her study of science allowed her to make remarkable artistic statements about the functioning of natural events. She wrote compact and short poetry. So today we are going to see one of the poems, that the name of the poem is Nature the Gentlest Mother Is. Now you can see the two pictures. One is about the greenery and the other is about volcanic eruption. So what you need to do is write 5 adjectives for each picture. So you need to write any 5 adjectives for each. It's 5 adjectives for first picture and 5 adjectives for second picture. And also you have to write which picture do you like the most, and you have to give the reason why you like that particular picture. This poem, Nature the Gentlest Mother Is, it is written by Emily Dickinson. In this poem, she has given a motherly persona to nature, which brings out a positive tone in the poetry. Now let us begin with the poem. First stanza. Nature the gentlest mother, impatient of no child, the feeblest or the waywardest, her admonition mild. Now what is the meaning of feeblest? Feeblest means weak. Feeblest means weak. Then what is the meaning of the word waywardest? Waywardest means one who is not easy to control. So one who is not easy to control, that is waywardest. Her admonition mild. Admonition means a firm warning. Okay. Now in this stanza, the poet talks about nature. The poetess says that the nature is calm and patient with her children. She is patient with the feeble and the wayward. So she does not discriminate among her children. Even her tone of admonition or scolding is mild. Now, in this stanza, nature is portrayed as caring mother who is devoted to her children and loves each and every single being that belongs to her without any discrimination. Now, here the poet has used the figure of speech, that is personification. Now, what is personification? Personification means when the non-living or inanimate object is given human quality. Now, here nature is given the human quality of motherhood. So, the figure of speech used is personification. Now, how does the nature deal with the feeble, the wayward and the children? The nature deals with the feeble, the wayward and children with mild admonition. Now let us move towards the second stanza. In the forest and the hill, by traveler is heard, restraining rampant squirrel or too impetuous bird. Restraining means intended to keep someone under control or to prevent someone from doing something. What is rampant? Rampant means especially of something unwelcome, flourishing or spreading unchecked. Rampant, flourishing or spreading unchecked. So here in the second stanza brings out the motherly instinct in nature, where she restrains her children amidst humans. So she means who here? Nature. So nature restrains. She keeps her children under control among the humans. Now nature, you know that nature is present everywhere, in the forest as well as in the hills. Now here the traveler means here the traveler refers to human in general. Now humans are also nature's children, but we humans have a tendency to destroy more than nature. Therefore, we see that Mother Nature is hushing down and restraining the rampant squirrel and the erratic bird, so that the humans do not harm them. Or in the other way, you can say that the fact that travelers are found to explore only the hills and the forests, right? And they are able to witness nature in all its glory. Therefore, Mother Nature has to ensure that the humans do not do anything negatively, or they do not have negative impact on her children in the name of invention. So the animals are said to have stopped making noise once the humans approached. Now what do you think? Why does nature have to restrain her children amidst the human beings? Now nature has to restrain animals and birds of the forest from impetuous behavior of the human beings. Impetuous means rightly to act rashly. Now human beings, their behavior is impetuous, and so nature restrains the animals and birds amidst human behavior. Let's move to the third stanza. How fair her conversation, a summer afternoon, her household, her assembly, and when the sun goes down. So in this third stanza, the focus of the poet is back on nature. Now here the poet praises the working of nature and all her aspects. Nature survives through every season, through every change. Now here the word household and assembly, they hold a strong point, because nature is personified as a mother. So like mother's assets of household, nature looks after her assembly of children and household of greenery. Now the assets of nature are her children, and the household is the greenery of the nature is the household. So the last line of the stanza, it gives a continuation to the next stanza. Now shifting the setting to the end of the day as the sun goes down. Now why do you think the words household and assembly has been used in connection with nature? Now see, nature cares for all its creatures as one would care for family, isn't it? Hence it is referred to as household. So when the sun sets, all the activities of the day unanimously give way to the momentum of the evening and all that entails. So the manner in which these affects all creatures, it creates an assembly. Now why is nature's conversation fair? Nature's fair conversation entails that there is a steady, gentle and rhythmic regularity of caring for all of nature, including all forms of lives. So the nature cares for her children, for its creatures, including all forms of life, whether it is a human life, whether it is a plant life, or any other form of life. Let's move to the next stanza. Her voice among the aisles incites the timid prayer of the minutest cricket, the most unworthy flower. Now, the meaning of the word aisles. Aisles means a long, narrow place. Aisle means a long, narrow place. It refers to the many pathways in nature for all creatures. So, incite means encourage. In this stanza, the poet tells that nature praise and acknowledges the voice of the smallest of creatures, inciting the prayer, regardless of how unworthy the creature might seem. It describes nature's voice flowing between aisles. Now, these aisles are normally in a church, which makes this mother seem like she is faithful to God. Now, here nature's voice is being described as if praying. She is praying for her children, even for the unworthy flowers, which are considered as inferior by the human beings. So here Emily Dickinson stresses on the ugly, unworthy flower in order to express the unconditional love of Mother Nature. How does the poet show that nature takes care of all, including those that are not even noticed by anyone? The poet shows that nature takes care of all by mentioning all that she encompasses: the hills, the smallest creatures, and even a flower that would not be noticed. Let's move to the fifth stanza. When all the children sleep, she turns as long away as will suffice to light her lamps, then bending from the sky. Now here the first line describes the night when all her children are asleep. Now her children include all the living beings, all the creatures of the world. Now, even when her children are asleep, she has other duties that she needs to take care of. Nature has other duties that she has to take care of. So, nature is going a long way in order to light her lamps for the next day. Bending from the sky, it indicates the setting of the sun. Means the sun is setting. Since the sun is setting, nature will have to go a long way in order to get the light back for the next day. Now this stanza, it creates a scene of a day ending and nature waiting for the next day to start. let's start with the sixth stanza. With infinite affection and infiniter care, her golden finger on her lip wills silence everywhere. Now, the last stanza of the poem brings us to the end of the night, where this is a sense of calm before the day begins again, and the cycle continues. So you must have experienced that before the day begins, there is everything is calm and quiet. Nature is calm. So with all her affection and unending care or boundless care, nature is seen to hush down her children with a finger on her lip and brings silence everywhere. The golden finger indicates the ideal mother who has the golden touch of calming her children instantly. Now here her golden finger refers to the arrival of dusk. How and why does she will silence everywhere? Will silence everywhere means the end of the day and the approach of the silent, restful night. What trait or traits of nature do these lines reveal? The lines from the sixth stanza. These lines reveal the calming end of the day and the start of the night and the timely routine of nature that governs all life. Now see, the nature has a timely routine. So day after night, again the day. So this cycle, it continues on time. And this timely routine of nature is revealed in the last stanza, which governs all life. Now, what feeling does the poet have about nature? The poet has a trusting and reassuring attitude towards nature. How can you say that? Because she provides and nurtures all her creatures unconditionally. Now you know that even though humans are nature's citizens, they tend to destroy more than nature can recover. Isn't it? Humans tend to take more than what nature provides. When man chops few trees in the forest is able to recover its loss gradually in time. However, when the greed of man causes an entire forest to be chopped down for industrial purpose, nature cannot recover its loss quickly. This impacts the entire ecosystem and its dependents. Therefore, man should learn to take only what he needs. Otherwise, one day there will be nothing left and the loss is insufferable. So, what lesson do we learn from this poem? That we should not destroy the nature. The theme of the of the poem Nature the Gentlest Mother is motherhood. The instincts of love, care, protection, and unbiased compassion of motherhood are reflected beautifully in nature through this poem. Nature represents purity and love. Let us see the rhyme scheme. Nature the gentlest mother. First, let us underline the rhyming word child, mild. Nature the gentlest mother. Let us give it A. So mother and child, they do not rhyme. So here we'll give B. Now waywardest. Does it rhyme with mother or child? No. So it will be C. Child and mild, they rhyme. So child is B. So mild also B. So the rhyme scheme is A, B, C, B. The rhyme scheme of the poem is A, B, C, B. The figures of speech used in this poem are personification. Now here nature is personified as gentlest mother. I hope you have understood this poem. Thank you.